4 years, Rachael Ray has been the bright, comforting face people turn to when they need a little warmth, a little laughter, and a good meal. But recently, rumors have surfaced suggesting that something far more serious has been unfolding behind the scenes. Something even her most loyal fans never saw coming. Reports claim that Rachael has been quietly battling a life-altering health struggle, one so severe it has forced her husband, John Cusimano, to prepare for possibilities no partner ever wants to face. And while none of this has been officially confirmed, the wave of concern surrounding the couple has only grown stronger. As whispers spread and questions multiply, a deeper, more emotional story begins to emerge. One filled with resilience, fear, devotion, and the kind of love that holds on even when everything else feels uncertain. For more than 2 decades, viewers have known Rachael Ray as the woman who could turn a chaotic kitchen into a warm, comforting escape. But behind that familiar smile, something began to change. Quietly, subtly, and almost invisibly. According to people close to her, Rachael started battling unusual fatigue a few months ago. At first, it was easy to blame it on long filming hours, charity work, and running multiple businesses at once. She has always been the type to push through discomfort, convincing herself it was just part of the grind. But as the days went on, the symptoms became harder to ignore. What started as simple exhaustion grew into something far more concerning. Friends say they noticed her slowing down, taking longer breaks, and opting out of events she would normally attend without hesitation. Even John, her husband and closest confidant, sensed a shift, one he couldn't explain but couldn't shake off either. Still, Rachael kept moving forward with that trademark determination. She filmed, she cooked, she smiled. But something wasn't right. And the moment she finally admitted it to herself marked the beginning of a chapter neither she nor John ever thought they'd face. More than anything, this was the moment when John stepped in, not just as a partner, but as the one person who refused to let her fight this alone. And what happened next would completely change the course of their lives. For more than 2 decades, Rachael Ray built a reputation as one of America's most comforting personalities. A woman whose smile, warmth, and easy recipes felt like a friend walking you through dinner. But behind that familiar charm was a reality almost no one ever recognized. While fans saw the cheerful cooking queen who made every kitchen feel welcoming, people close to her say she was quietly carrying emotional and physical stress that rarely reached the public. The constant pressure of running shows, managing her magazine, growing her product lines, and staying present for millions of viewers didn't just exhaust her. It slowly chipped away at her health. Friends have revealed that Rachael often pushed through exhaustion, brushing off warning signs as just work stress. She kept smiling, kept performing, kept delivering the comfort her audience expected. But the weight of years spent juggling non-stop responsibilities eventually began to show in ways she could no longer ignore. And what makes this part of her story even more heartbreaking is how silently she carried it. While her brand promised ease, speed, and simplicity, her real life was becoming increasingly complicated. A private battle hidden behind bright studio lights. According to people familiar with the situation, Rachael had become unusually tired in recent months. But she refused to slow down. That determination, the same trait that built her empire, became the very thing that pushed her closer to a breaking point. And although she didn't say it out loud, those around her could see something shifting. A sense that something deeper was happening beneath the surface. But the moment everything changed didn't come from Rachael herself. It came from the person who knows her better than anyone. And that turning point arrived in a way neither of them expected, beginning a chapter that would test them more than ever before. Her as the smiling chef who made cooking feel effortless. She was just a young woman trying to rebuild her life after leaving the chaos of New York City. And that moment, returning home, unsure of what came next, became the turning point that changed everything. Back in Lake George, Rachael didn't fall into fame overnight. She started small, working at resorts, managing restaurants, and slowly building a reputation among locals. But the Rachael spark came from something she didn't plan. Everyday people constantly told her they were too busy to cook. That frustration sparked an idea that would redefine her entire future. Rachael began giving tiny local cooking classes that focused on one simple promise: dinner in 30 minutes. No fancy equipment, no complicated ingredients, just real food made fast. And once word spread, those classes went from quiet experiments to packed community events. Then, a local TV producer attended one of her demonstrations. And everything changed. Her energy, her humor, her improvisation, it all translated perfectly on camera. What began as a short local segment quickly built a fan base that the Food Network couldn't ignore. Within a few years, Rachael's name wasn't just known, it was everywhere. Magazine shelves, morning talk shows, book deals, nationwide partnerships. Her 30-minute meals became a movement. And behind the scenes, those closest to her say she barely had time to realize just how big things were becoming. It all happened so fast that even she seemed taken by surprise. But as her public success exploded, something else followed her quietly in the background. Exhaustion, stress, and an endless schedule that pushed her far beyond the limit. And while fans saw the cheerful, unstoppable Rachael Ray, rumors suggest that this was also when the first signs of her deeper personal struggles began to surface. And what happened next would shake her entire world, professionally and personally, in ways no one expected. As Rachael's career skyrocketed, it looked like everything was falling perfectly into place. Millions tuned in daily to watch her whip up meals with that bright, carefree energy that made her feel like a friend in the kitchen rather than a TV personality. But behind the scenes, the pace she kept was intense. Her schedule was stacked with back-to-back filming, book deadlines, sponsorship deals, charity projects, and travel. Rumors suggest that even her closest friends questioned how long she could keep pushing her body that hard. Every new opportunity she accepted added another layer to a workload that would overwhelm almost anyone. Yet Rachael kept smiling through it, refusing to show how drained she sometimes felt. It was this non-stop grind, insiders say, that slowly began to wear her down. Reports claim she often brushed off small health warning signs, assuming it was just stress or overwork. And while no one around her could have predicted how serious things would later become, some now wonder if those early hints were the first quiet alarm bells. But the pressure of fame wasn't the only thing weighing on her, and what came next would push her even further than anyone realized. Despite Rachael's bright personality and the uplifting energy she brings to every screen she touches, people close to the couple say things haven't been as calm behind closed doors. Rumors suggest that her recent absence from major public events wasn't just a break, it was a moment of forced reflection. Reports claim that Rachael had been dealing with symptoms that kept getting harder to ignore, even though she tried to push through them with her usual determination. And while she's always been known for her resilience, insiders say this time felt different. According to those familiar with the situation, John noticed the small changes first. Moments where Rachael looked more exhausted than usual, times when she stepped back from commitments she normally handled with ease, and mornings where getting started took just a little bit longer than before. It wasn't dramatic, and it wasn't sudden, but day by day the signs were there. And that's when, as sources say, John insisted on stepping in. The couple reportedly sought medical advice, and while no verified details about the diagnosis have been made public, the people around them describe it as serious enough to change how they approach every day. Nothing official has been announced, and everything shared online remains speculation, but the emotional weight of the situation is something those close to them can feel. Even with the uncertainty, Rachael and John aren't facing it in fear. They're facing it together. Friends claim that the couple has shifted their priorities, spending more quiet nights at home, more time intentionally disconnected from the world, and more energy on the things that actually matter to them. It's a softer chapter, one filled with support, comfort, and a lot of silence they never realized they needed. But for all the closeness this moment has created, there's another question that's now hanging in the air, one that neither of them may be ready to face just yet. And what comes next is something that could change everything for both of them. As Rachael poured her energy into staying present and making every day feel meaningful, those closest to the couple began noticing a shift in John's behavior. Small details that hinted at the emotional storm he was quietly navigating. Friends say he hasn't spoken openly about the possibility of losing the woman who's been the anchor of his life for nearly 2 decades. But his actions have begun to speak louder than any words could. According to people who know the couple well, John has been spending more time at their lake home, often walking the property alone before sunrise. Some say he's been organizing old photos, personal notes, and memories they built over the years. Tiny pieces of their life together that he doesn't want to fade away. None of this is dramatic or outwardly emotional. In fact, it's almost gentle, as if he's preparing himself for a reality he desperately hopes never becomes true. Rumors suggest he's been quietly adjusting his schedule, turning down music-related commitments, reducing legal workloads, and carving out space to care for Rachael in whatever way she needs. And while Rachael continues to focus on joy, creativity, and time with loved ones, John's quiet acts reveal a man who's bracing for impact while still holding on to hope. Those close to them say he's trying to be her strength, even when the weight of the situation feels unbearable. Watching the love of your life face something so life-altering, while knowing your power to help is limited, is a kind of heartbreak most people never talk about. But through every moment, he stayed by her side, determined to make her feel loved, safe, and supported. And yet, as emotional as this time has been, the story doesn't end here. Because what came next added another unexpected layer to the couple's already complicated journey. As the months quietly unfold, one thing has become painfully clear. Rachael and John are living with a mix of hope, fear, and a deep sense of gratitude for every moment they still have together. Friends say Rachael has been pouring her energy into the small things that bring her peace. Simple home-cooked meals, long conversations at the lake house, and quiet evenings spent with the people she trusts the most. Even during her toughest days, she tries to protect the warmth and positivity she's known for, refusing to let the heaviness of her situation define her completely. John, on the other hand, has been moving through this chapter with a kind of quiet heartbreak. He's still the same supportive partner he has always been, steady, attentive, and determined to make sure Rachael never feels alone. But close friends reveal that when he steps away from her side, the emotional weight hits him harder than he lets on. He's been preparing himself mentally for an outcome he wishes he could avoid, even though he continues to hope for something better. Their home has turned into a space filled with mixed emotions, beautiful memories, painful uncertainties, and moments of unexpected joy. And despite everything, Rachael still finds ways to smile and comfort the people around her. It's the kind of strength that reminds everyone why she became so loved in the first place. And while the road ahead remains unclear, one thing is certain. Rachael and John are facing it together, with the same loyalty and love that has guided them through every chapter of their lives. But believe it or not, there's still one more part of this story that changes everything. For now, what happens next for Rachael and John remains uncertain, and a lot of the details surrounding her condition are still being kept private. But one thing is clear, Rachael's impact goes far beyond cooking shows and quick recipes. She built a career on comfort, joy, and bringing people together, and that legacy doesn't disappear just because she's facing a difficult moment. Close friends say she's focusing on peace, family, and the things that truly matter, while John continues to stand by her side in a way that proves just how strong their bond has always been. Even though rumors suggest that John has been quietly preparing for the possibility of saying goodbye, nothing has been confirmed, and people close to them insist they're still holding on to hope. All we can do right now is send love, stay supportive, and appreciate the decades of positivity Rachael has shared with millions. Whether this becomes just another chapter in her life or the start of something more challenging, her influence is already permanent, and no illness can take that away. If you've ever been inspired by Rachael's energy, her kindness, or the joy she brings to cooking, now might be a good time to send those thoughts back to her. And as more information comes out, we'll be right here keeping you updated with what's being said and what we know so far. Stay strong, Rachael, and thank you for everything you've given us.